On my wedding day, I received a ticket from my husband. On the day of the wedding had to be suspended due to my husband's temporary departure. I was happily waiting for him to come back, but my phone came first and I received a ticket from the traffic police. In the photo, my Porsche was illegally parked on the side of the road, and two intertwined bodies could be clearly seen through the windshield. It turns out that my husband has a new wife. I dismissed everyone and ended the wedding, threw away the ring, gave up on the 7-year relationship without crying or making a fuss, and then disappeared into his world. Ryan, who couldn't find me, went crazy. When I received the ticket, I even felt dazed for a moment. I lowered my head and looked again. The Porsche that belonged to me in the photo was parked on the side of the road. Through the windshield, I could even see two intertwined bodies. The white color shocked my senses. I couldn't even imagine that the man I was having a wedding with just a moment ago would be making love to someone else in my car. When the wedding was about to exchange rings, Ryan answered the phone and left in a hurry without saying anything. I was left alone to deal with the chattering guests, and I didn't realize how helpless I was facing such a scene. As his legal wife, I didn't even get a reasonable explanation. It was only half an hour later that he said, "Busy." These two words are his charity to me. I replied, "Okay," with trembling hands. I thought I would be tougher and threw the photo away to question him, asking him why he did this to me. In the end, I got used to it, got used to responding to his requests, and tolerated giving in again and again. The erotic scene just now gave me a strong feeling of nausea in my stomach, and I vomited it out on the spot. This time I am really tired. I have been in love for 7 years and taken the initiative for 7 years. In this long-distance love race, Ryan always plays the role of the one in charge, so I constantly change myself to cater to this relationship. Because he didn't want to live in a different place, I left my parents abroad and came to his city. Because he had stomach problems, I never had a hot pot meal and learned to cook for him. Obviously, I was once my parents' darling, and I was also their precious daughter who never touched my heart. I looked down at my hands, which were covered with hard and yellow calluses. The rough skin would even crack under the licks of the autumn wind. Even the best cosmetics could not cover its vicissitudes. There is a plain ring of different sizes stuck on the ring finger of her left hand, which is bare and without any decoration. That's my ring. When I was trying to put the ring on, I couldn't put it on because the size wasn't right. Ryan squeezed it hard and complained impatiently to me. "You eat so much all day long, and you still expect me to buy you a diamond ring when you can't even wear a custom-made ring. It's a waste of money and time." It's hard to imagine that these words came from the mouth of a CEO worth hundreds of millions. It's Ryan, he forgot. I forgot to measure my fingertips in autumn. I forgot that my hands would develop chilblains due to long-term soaking in cold water, and my fingers would be swollen like carrots. I have suggested to him countless times that he install a water heater in the kitchen, but he just responded lightly, "No need to pretend, I don't need it," but never asked if I needed it. Finally, Ryan put the ring on, but I felt like my finger was about to break. The whole finger was red, the ring was stuck in the middle of the finger and could not move, and the finger was cyanotic due to lack of blood flow. But he didn't care, there was only joy in completing the process on his face. When I gave him the ring, he left. I looked at the ring on my hand in trance. It turned out that it was me who wore the ring, and it was me who was trapped in this relationship and couldn't extricate myself. I originally thought that my concession would save this tattered love, but now it seems that it is no longer necessary. I picked up the microphone and faced the guests openly, speaking loudly and forcefully. "Ryan and I are divorced. Today's ceremony is a divorce ceremony. The meal is a breakup meal. Please come back after everyone has finished." I turned around, leaving Ryan's relatives and friends looking at each other, and left without looking back. Ryan and I have been getting the certificate for a long time, and his relatives also know that we are married. However, the wedding has always been delayed due to various things. This time, I stalked him to agree. I took off my wedding dress and headed straight to the nearest fire station. The firefighter was still feeling sorry for me when he was sawing the ring with a tool. "The size is not suitable at all. How did your husband put the ring on? His fingers are all purple, how uncomfortable it is for you." I could only smile bitterly in response. Everyone could tell that the ring didn't fit, but Ryan never cared. He only cares about his little childhood sweetheart. Finally, the ring was sawed off, and my fingers gradually turned red. I simply threw the broken ring into the trash can. Just like this broken relationship, I didn't want it anymore. I breathed a long sigh of relief and called my parents on the other side of the ocean. When I heard my mother's voice, all the grievances in my heart reached its peak, and tears welled up in my eyes. There were many things I wanted to say, but in the end, they came to my mouth like, "Mom, I miss you." Mom immediately heard something was wrong in my tone. "Ivy, it was Ryan who bullied you." It was not a question but an affirmation. "Mom, I want a divorce. I'll come find you when everything is settled." I choked with sobs. "Okay, I'll wait for you at home." Ivy, you need to know that your mother will always support your decision. Because the wedding was held in a hurry, I didn't fly my parents over, for fear that they would feel bad seeing me being ignored. So every time I call them, I repeat 2 sentences to them: I am doing well, and Ryan is also very good to me. I can't make up anymore. It has never been cherished by others, so I can't even imagine or make up a beautiful description. After returning home, I looked around at the new home I had decorated by myself. The warm red color stung my eyes, and my heart twitched unconsciously. In the end, I couldn't help crying. If you don't love someone you don't love, why force yourself? To vent my good emotions, I opened my suitcase and packed my luggage, but found that I had so few things that I couldn't even fit in one suitcase. Most of the things at home are couple items that I bought. Couple's slippers, couple's toothbrush, couple's clothes, can't be asked for. Halfway through cleaning up, I didn't want to cook anymore and ordered a spicy hot pot, which was spicy, and put a lot of sesame sauce. In the past, I had been eating very lightly because I wanted to accommodate Ryan, but this time I was finally able to eat freely. When it was time to finish cleaning up, there happened to be a knock on the door. I opened the door and saw Ryan impatiently carrying my takeaway. The scene of the two together was obviously a bit out of place. Before I opened my mouth, I was met with a fierce question from him: just give me this thing to eat. Then I took a moment to look at my phone. Ryan sent me a message half an hour ago. Cook. The 2-word command was simple and straightforward. I was just about to remind him that he couldn't eat the takeaway, but I turned around and saw him eating deliciously at the dinner table. The neat custom-made suit, the high-end watch on his hand and the cheap takeout lunchbox look a bit funny when paired together. I forgot, it's not that he can't eat, it's just that I care about him too much, so I'm afraid that something will go wrong with him, so I'm careful everywhere. When Ryan finished eating, I just took out the couple tooth cup from the bathroom. He raised his eyelids, his eyes full of disgust. What is it? It's so ugly. Don't tell me you're going to do it, but let me use this. I don't think I can have it anymore. It's so ugly that I feel sick. I forced a smile and threw the things into the trash can in front of him. I don't want this rotten, stinking love anymore. Ryan obviously didn't expect me to be so direct, so he realized that I might be angry with him. He took 2 long steps to reach me, put his arms around my waist, buried his head in the crook of my neck, and hung on me like a sloth. If he was so clingy to me in the past, I would definitely respond, but this time I couldn't lift my hand. The moment he touched me, my whole body stiffened, and goosebumps appeared where he touched me. The image of him and Luna's bodies intertwined reappeared in his mind, and a wave of nausea rushed into his heart. I straightened up, keeping my distance from him, and broke free. Feeling my resistance, the tenderness on Ryan's face flashed and turned into a look of anger. Ivy, don't be angry. I really have something to do this afternoon. Look, I bought you a gift. There was a butterfly necklace hanging on his hand, studded with diamonds. It was shining and colorful under the light. Only a few diamonds are missing from the wings in the lower right corner, and I just saw its perfect look in the circle of friends. I browsed Luna's circle of friends. She said that her childhood sweetheart's gift of butterflies was too tacky and she didn't like it, so she threw it in the trash can. As a result, he took her to pick out a necklace on the spot, showing off every word. The accompanying picture is a photo of the butterfly necklace from perfect to lying alone in the trash can, but Ryan picked him up and coaxed me. Ryan looked at my face in a daze. Are you crying? I obviously didn't follow his brain circuit, and he pointed at my red and swollen eyes. I was so confused when I was packing my things just now that I rubbed them red. The excuse was ridiculous and would be revealed as soon as I poked it, but I knew Ryan wouldn't care. I picked up the couple's towel next to me and tried to ease the awkwardness between the two of them. Isn't this towel a little ugly? Throw it away. The blue and pink towel has 2 cartoon versions of him and me embroidered on it. I found a lot of people to finalize it. I don't know if it was my subtle resistance that made Ryan uncomfortable. He just agreed with me softly. It's really ugly. In fact, I carefully selected everything in my house. I like it very much and put a lot of thought into it, but it is superfluous and burdensome to have no one care about it. Ryan frowned, always feeling that something was wrong today. He looked me up and down over and over again, and suddenly his eyes turned to the suitcase I put in the corner. Are you going out? My palms were sweating. I was afraid that he would find out and cause trouble, so I could only pretend to be calm. Suddenly I felt that some things at home were too ugly and I wanted to throw them away, but it was too troublesome to throw them away little by little. It was more convenient to find a suitcase and throw them together. The reason is lame. Ryan was still thinking about something when his phone rang at an inappropriate time. Seeing him look panicked for a moment, I knew who it was without having to guess. After hanging up the phone, Ryan was about to leave again. When he was about to go out, he looked back at me and hesitated to speak. There was even a trace of reluctance on his face. I reached out and took the necklace he gave me, trying my best to put on an understanding smile. Go and do your work if you have something to do. Don't worry about me. I understand that you won't be angry. If it were before, I would definitely have stalked him to keep him from going out. But now I understand everything and don't care anymore. He should be satisfied with me like this. Ryan turned around and placed a kiss on my forehead. If I knew Ivy would be obedient after the wedding, I would have done it a long time ago. Wait until I come back to make it up to you. I silently responded to him in my heart. If I knew that liking you was so painful, I would never meet you again. Finally, he stuffed me a black card. Throw away all the unwanted things at home and replace them with new ones. Unwanted things should indeed be thrown away. After I was sure that the person was really gone, I rushed into the bathroom and washed my face frantically, until my eyebrows were rubbed red, and then I felt clean. The next week I lived a quiet and fulfilling life. I was busy looking for a lawyer to draft a divorce agreement, cleaning the house, and handing over work. 7 years of love is like a brand growing on the body. If you want to withdraw, you will definitely break your skin and bones, but it is better than the endless pain it brings me. Ryan didn't go home for a few days. Because his childhood sweetheart was hospitalized due to allergies. The spicy hot pot I ordered that night had a lot of sesame sauce and peanut butter. But Luna is allergic to peanuts. The process can be imagined. Ryan ate my spicy hot pot and made love with Luna, which led to him being hospitalized. So Ryan returned to his cold attitude towards me. During this period, I called him once to ask when he would come home so that I could prepare the divorce agreement in advance. But he just scolded me. Ivy, can you stop bothering me? It's because your Luna is already in the hospital. I don't know when you became so jealous. She and I are just friends. I got the marriage certificate from you and the wedding was held. What else do you want? Let me stick to you every day. Can't you be more generous and treat Luna well? How to be generous? To the point of handing over your husband to another woman? It was not possible before, but it is possible now. Ryan occasionally interspersed a few delicate female voices in his scolding words, which probably meant that he should not be angry and not blame me. Ivy, Luna was hurt by you and is speaking for you. Can you be a human being and let her go? Ryan was even more disgusted with me. I could even imagine how he hated me on the other end of the phone. If you hadn't kissed her after eating my spicy hot pot, how could she have been admitted to the hospital? Who wouldn't let go of whom? But I still bowed my head and admitted my mistake. I'm sorry, it's my fault. I'll go to the hospital tomorrow to apologize to Luna. It won't cost me a piece of flesh to apologize. After all, I don't care anymore, and I will have nothing to do with all this soon. I stuffed the divorce agreement into my bag, and even bought a fruit basket when I passed by the fruit store. But Ryan didn't appreciate it. He repeatedly checked the fruit I brought, and his eyes were full of vigilance. You poisoned it. I ate a pear in front of him, and he felt uneasy and threw the whole basket of fruit into the trash can. After apologizing, I took out a thick stack of documents from my bag, which also included the divorce agreement, signed the cooperation that fell through this week. Ryan took care of Luna in the hospital for a week and didn't go to the company. Many documents were not signed. He wrote furiously, and when he signed the divorce agreement, he suddenly paused. This document. My heartbeat accelerated instantly, fearing that he would see the clues, and I was strong and calm. The people below have repeatedly checked it and there will be no problem. Ryan, my head hurts a little. Luna saw that she had been left alone and began to get sick, pretending to faint. Sign it quickly, and then go take care of Luna. Seeing that Luna was uncomfortable, Ryan signed all the documents neatly. I looked at the signed divorce agreement and felt that everything was worth it. Luna lay in Ryan's arms, apologetic. I'm sorry, Sister Ivy, I only have Ryan as a good friend, so I can only trouble him to take care of me, don't mind. If you mind, I can stay alone. Ryan held Luna's female hand tightly. I should take care of you, we are good friends who grew up together. Good friends? The kind that roll together, but I don't care anymore. I ignored them and packed up to leave. When I opened the door, I heard Ryan's voice behind me. We'll go back tonight. I suddenly doubted my ears and wanted to ask him what he said again, but I felt it was unnecessary. I stopped and turned to look at him. Okay. No response is the best response. I went straight to the airport after leaving the hospital. When I arrived at the hospital, I had already brought my suitcase with me. The taxi driver was waiting for me downstairs. Ryan was never seen again. When he called me at night to ask where I was about to take off. My phone was still vibrating on the chair. It was the 37th call. I raised my hand and put all Ryan's contact information into the blacklist. The ringing stopped, and I felt that the whole world became quiet. A few minutes later, the phone rang again, but it was not Ryan's number. I didn't know who it was. I thought that there might be something that had not been handed over in the company, so I just pressed the answer button with a suspicious attitude and didn't say anything. There was a fierce quarrel on the other end of the phone, and it was obvious that no one noticed that the call was connected. Okay, I got it. Don't bother me anymore. When I find my wife, I'll ask Ivy to arrange a job for your son. I knew as soon as I heard it that it was another poor relative of Ryan's who asked him to arrange a job with less work and more money. In the past, it was my job to deal with his poor relatives. As Ryan's secretary, I had to look at his face and his relatives' faces. Don't fool me. I'm an honest man and I don't know anything. You two are divorced and have had a farewell dinner. You are just making excuses not to arrange a job for my son. If you don't arrange a farewell dinner today, I will stay here and not leave. Ryan seemed to be stimulated by something. What divorce farewell dinner? What are you talking about? It's impossible. At the same time, a gentle female voice sounded in the airport and reached everyone's ears. Ladies and gentlemen, our plane will take off soon. Ryan realized that the call had been connected, and asked me excitedly, Ivy, you want? It was so noisy. I hung up the phone without listening to the end. When I was sitting on the plane, I felt alive. The clouds outside the window rolled, and the warm sunshine broke through many obstacles and hit me. In the 7 years since I fell in love with Ryan, I haven't enjoyed the sunshine like this for a long time. Every time I am either busy or on the way to a busy place. Below the plane is a deep and wide ocean, separating the two sides of the ocean. I seem to be able to smell the breeze with salty sea breeze filling every cell of my body. It is the smell of freedom. I seem to be back to the time when I was not a vicious woman. At the age of 20, I said to myself, let's try it, and I met Ryan. At the defense competition, he talked freely and expressed his unique insights. The spotlight on the stage hit him, attracting the attention of everyone on the field. Including me. At that time, he was very poor, and in order not to let his childhood sweetheart accompany him to suffer, he chose to break up with pain. I always think that a man who is reluctant to let the girl he likes suffer can't be too bad. I launched a crazy pursuit of him, trying to please everyone around him just so that he can look at me more. But he always had an aura that kept people away from him. However, the more he was like this, the more I admired and liked him, and I rushed to him like a moth to a flame. Finally, he was so persistent that he wanted me to give up. Classmate Ivy, I won't fall in love until I have a successful career and enough ability to protect my girlfriend. I smiled and tilted my head to respond to him, then I will wait for you to protect me. Finally, the boy left with a red face. I swore to God that he was moved at that moment. Facts have proved that he is indeed very good. He started a business in college and became the boss of a company right after graduation. Because he has a very high talent in business, his company has developed into a huge business empire in just 3 years. Because he is too dazzling, many girls who came to pursue him year after year were chased away by me. In the last year of college, my parents wanted me to go back to develop, but I hesitated because of Ryan. On one side are my parents and on the other side is the person I like. I can't choose. On the last night before graduation, I drank a lot of wine. I ran downstairs to Ryan and confessed to him. Ryan, do you like me? If I haven't been able to impress you in these 4 years, I might have to give up. Just tell me, I can take it and let it go. I don't know if it was my illusion, but his always cold face actually showed a smile. Ivy, be my girlfriend. I thought it was my sincerity that touched him, but I didn't know it until many years later. The day I confessed, Ryan's childhood sweetheart fell in love, lived a good life as he wished, and found a rich boyfriend. He could only bless silently on the side, and he agreed to my confession in order to heal his wounds. For him, I still chose to stay. But people who don't love will not love suddenly. Suddenly, the flight attendant next to me patted my shoulder and reminded me that I had arrived at the destination, and I realized that I fell asleep. I reached out and touched the wetness on my face. Ryan, this is the last time I cry because of you. After getting off the plane, I saw my parents coming to pick me up from a distance. They held flowers to welcome me home. Because Ryan hates those cumbersome rituals. I can't remember how long it has been since I received flowers. My mother didn't cry when she saw me for the first time, and she didn't cry when she hugged me, but she burst into tears when she held my rough hands with cracks. I comforted her, as if it wasn't me who was hurt. Lying on the bed at home was a long-lost comfort. I turned on my phone, and it was full of red dots. After I blocked him, he borrowed many people's phones to send me messages. He asked me why the house was empty and there was nothing. He asked me where I put his shirt. He asked me that his stomach hurt a lot and what he should do to make it less painful. He asked me where he usually ate and he wanted to eat now. He asked me where the business contract that the company had just negotiated was placed and he couldn't find it. I suddenly felt that Ryan's positioning was wrong. What he may need is not a wife, but a nanny who can handle everything for him without any emotion. But I am greedy and need more love, so I am not suitable. Being a nanny also pays, but I have not received any return for all my efforts over the years. I am studying investment. I don't know how I have been so happy with high investment and low return in the past 7 years. Maybe it is because it is too painful, so I can only numb myself with some sweet little things. He picked up food for me today, it rained today and he asked me to bring an umbrella when I went out, and he picked me up from get off work today, so he likes me. Every breath I took was slightly stinging, and finally I pulled out the SIM card, folded it in half, and gently broke it. After I came back, I joined my parents' company. After adapting to the work, everything was on the right track. Because of my outstanding work ability, I soon became a famous gold medal investor. When I worked in Ryan's company before, my job was to be his secretary to help deal with various chores, from sending documents for signature to pouring coffee and making tea. He didn't care about my ability, and just nailed me to the label of a vase. In fact, my work ability and ambition are not limited to this, but Ryan suppressed my confidence again and again. Do you understand investment? Can you invest? The money I give you every month is not enough to spend, just be my secretary well. But in my heart, this is not about money, it's an ideal. He has already inflated and forgot that when the company was in turmoil in the stock market because of his one-sided thought, it was me who saved the entire company. After coming back for a few months and being proud of my career, my mother began to arrange blind dates for me crazily. Most of them are the best in the industry. I understand what she means, and hope that I can quickly get out of that failed relationship, so I don't reject blind dates. That day, I was walking by the river with a blonde and blue-eyed foreign handsome guy. I unexpectedly saw Ryan, and he suddenly rushed out from the dark, almost crazy looking at our hands together, and rushed up and punched my blind date without saying anything. After not seeing him for a few months, he seemed to have aged a lot. The blue stubble on his face had grown long, and there were dark blues under his eyes that would not go away. Ryan was very aggressive, and I had to work hard to pull him away and let the blind date go first. I dragged Ryan to a place with few people. Before I could say anything, Ryan took the initiative. Ivy, have you made enough trouble? If you have, come home with me immediately. I think he must be crazy. What is he still superior to now? Why would he think that I would go home with him? Home? Mr. Ryan, you must have forgotten that we are divorced. You signed the divorce agreement. Ryan was visibly depressed, and he stepped forward to hug me, but I quickly dodged him. Ivy, I have asked many people and traveled to many places in the past few months. It took a lot of effort to find where you are. I was wrong in my attitude before and made you angry. Please forgive me and we can live a good life as before. But, Ryan looked at me with confidence and determination on his face. Luna and I are a thing of the past. We are just friends now. Don't be jealous. What a good just friends. If I hadn't witnessed it, I would have been deceived by his affectionate appearance. I looked at the calm lake, as if I saw my own heart. Even if Ryan said something wonderful, I no longer believed him. It has nothing to do with others, it's just that I don't love you anymore. Ivy, what do you want me to do? Ryan's voice was loud, and even though we didn't speak the same language, it attracted passers-by to look back frequently. What do you mean I want him to do? He was the one who made the mistake, but he made it seem like I was unforgivable. If I was really guilty, it was because I had caught countless clues of his intimacy with Luna, and convinced myself to forgive him again and again. I took out a stack of photos from the compartment in my handbag. I know their origins by heart. Every time I want to cry in my dreams at midnight, I remind myself not to be soft-hearted. In this photo, I said I wanted to see the northern lights, but you said you were too busy at work and didn't have time, so you went with Luna. That was a coincidence. She was also on my business trip. In this photo, when you were kissing Luna, I had a high fever of 40 degrees to help you take care of your relatives. I was working like a cow and was scolded for not taking good care of them. At that time, Luna broke up, and she was very sad that I allowed her to kiss me. In this photo, I broke my leg on the construction site, and when I was cooking for you with a cane, you were having a candlelight dinner with Luna. It was just an ordinary meal. And this one, on our wedding anniversary, I was at home from the afternoon to the early morning. What were you doing with Luna? In the photo, they were doing large-scale sports. Ryan's voice became smaller and smaller at the end, and he knew he couldn't defend himself. I threw the photos at Ryan's face one by one. When the sharp edges rubbed his skin, blood oozed out. I found this in his computer when I was packing up. We could have separated decently and left a good impression on each other, but Ryan tore the last face. Ivy, I was really wrong. As long as I change, we can still be the same as before. Ryan cried bitterly. I have never seen him like this. I was dazed for a moment. He took advantage of my relaxation and hugged me with great strength. No matter how I punched and kicked him, he didn't move at all, as if he was not afraid of pain. I just let him hold me like that, and suddenly the phone rang between us. I glanced at the name on the screen and sneered. Ryan lost again. He answered the phone in a panic, and I could hear the screams from a long distance away. Luna cut his wrist to force him to go back. Ivy, wait for me to come back to pick you up. Ryan left in a hurry again, just like the day of the wedding, but except for me 7 years ago, no one will stand there waiting for you. Now I won't wait for you either. After seeing that I had completely let go of the past, my parents handed the company to me and officially retired. I returned to China to expand the domestic market, and even did not deliberately avoid the area where Ryan Group was located, and set up the headquarters there. After all, it's a big fool not to make money. I can't give up a gold mine for one person. There are better projects and greater profits here. The purpose of returning to China this time is not only to expand the domestic market, but more importantly, the investment project in the scenic spot in City A. I was very busy with work for a few months after returning to China. I met Ryan again at the 70th anniversary alumni meeting of my alma mater. He and I were both selected as outstanding alumni representatives to give speeches on stage. 3 years have passed. I look at the familiar people and things. Everything seems to have not changed, but it seems to have changed. After the ceremony, Ryan and I were both invited by the principal and teachers to have dinner. At the dinner table, the old principal and teachers had already taken their seats, leaving only 2 seats close together for Ryan and me. The reason was simple. I was so passionate about pursuing Ryan that everyone in the school knew about it. I tried to ignore Ryan, but I always felt that his eyes were vaguely glued to me, which made me sick. Teacher, let's change seats. I'm not comfortable sitting here. The old principal narrowed his eyes and joked, Xiaogu, you and Ryan had a great time at the beginning. Why are you shy now? Ryan told us that you two were married. Why are you avoiding suspicion now that you are a couple? This is not like you. Our relationship caused trouble to all the leaders and teachers. Ryan looked embarrassed, as if nothing had happened between him and me. We are divorced. We were blind and met the wrong person at the beginning, which caused trouble to the teachers. After I said that, the whole table suddenly became cold, and everyone's smiles shifted to my face. Ryan had the ugliest expression. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's eat. The old principal came out to smooth things over. No one said a word later, but just lowered their heads and ate silently, and the dinner ended quickly. After I went out, I saw Ryan as expected. He was leaning against the car in a windbreaker, holding a cigarette in one hand, his whole face buried in the smoke, and no emotion could be seen. His voice was hoarse. Why tell them we are divorced? Then why did you lie and say we are still husband and wife? I ignored him and opened the car door. I can give you the scenic spot project. Let's make peace. This was the first time Ryan knew me so well. The conditions were very tempting, but I didn't need it. I will get it with my strength. I only left one sentence, leaving a car of exhaust gas in place. On the day of the bidding, Ryan's position was empty, and I became the final winner without suspense. It was not because of Ryan's charity, but because he was too busy. After my company came, it quickly squeezed the market of Ryan Group, causing their stock market turmoil. At that time, their company had already begun to go downhill, but Ryan did not take any measures. During this period, many shareholders withdrew and the capital chain was broken, which led to the collapse of the company, which became a shell. This bidding is their last chance. Ryan also understands it, but they have missed the ticket due to lack of funds. In fact, there is still a chance. Ryan still has private property under his name, and he can still turn the tide as long as he takes action. Unfortunately, he doesn't have it, and I can't understand this. Sister Ivy, Ryan, the president of Ryan Group, had a car accident. The secretary reported the latest news to me in a panic. I don't understand. Then where is he now? How could he have a car accident for no reason? Ryan was speeding on the road and killed someone. The deceased is a woman named Luna. Afterwards, I went to the police station and saw Ryan, who was almost crazy. He kept shouting, she asked for it, it was all her own fault. She is a liar. She cheated me. It turned out that it was not that Ryan didn't want to turn the tide to save his company, but that he had no money. After the company's shares were transferred and the funds were cut off, Ryan stayed in the company all day and all night and didn't go home. Even Luna, the Mal Xiao Bai, realized that something was wrong. Finally, when Luna went to the company without Ryan's knowledge, she secretly transferred all his money to her own card, bought a plane ticket to go abroad and planned to abscond with the money, but was discovered by Ryan. So there was a scene where Luna went to the airport and Ryan chased her in a car and finally hit her to death. She is a complete liar. She came back to get close to me just for my money. I saw the chat records between her and her so-called ex-boyfriend. Her ex-boyfriend went bankrupt and then thought of letting her get money from me. All this is fake. Ivy, you are the only one in the world who truly loves me. They are all liars. I will never trust anyone except you again. Ryan reached out to touch me, but there was too much distance between us and we could not go back. You are wrong. It is me 7 years ago who loves you, not me now. I left without looking back. In the end, Ryan stayed in there for 7 years. During this period, I acquired Ryan Group and swallowed up its market. 7 years is long, and 7 years is also short. When I saw Ryan again, he was hunched over and rummaging through the trash can at the door of my company. There were green flies around his hair, and even opaque things stuck his hair into strands. His clothes were too loose and ill-fitting, and were covered with oil stains. It was winter and he was only wearing single clothes and slippers. His hands and feet were covered with chilblains and pus was constantly oozing out. I suddenly felt that the sandwich in my hand was not delicious, so I handed it to him. Ryan took the food, bent over and kept saying thank you to me. You're welcome. Hearing my voice, Ryan froze in place, and raised his head after a few seconds. The moment he saw me, he ran away screaming. He didn't even care about losing a slipper. He changed, became timid and no longer confident, and lost the arrogance of a son of heaven. Life smoothed his edges and corners, and he became a ball. Wherever others kicked, he would roll. As soon as he left, I saw an equally sloppy man following him. He looked shifty and looked like a bad guy. I had a bad feeling and turned to ask the assistant, does he have a criminal record? Should we call the police? Call the police. I know this person. He has done a lot of things and has ruined many men. He has never failed. It's terrible. The assistant covered his chest with a scared look. I nodded, looking as if I understood. Is that so? Forget it. I won't call the police. I'm afraid it will cause trouble for the company. Let him solve his own problems. It's a good thing to call the police. It's not against the law not to call the police. After all, I am a law-abiding citizen.